Hi, Kaylee.
Hi, Michaela.
Welcome back. It's been a couple weeks since we last saw each other. How are you today? How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Yeah. A little tired, but otherwise pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you. Tell me a little bit about just what's been going on for you the last couple weeks. I know last time we set a goal for just some reflection, some journaling about pros and cons regarding your decision to stay in school, stay in Colorado, or maybe move back home to North Carolina with your family for the summer, take a break from school. What did that process look like for you? Did you make the list?
Yeah, I made it in my head. I didn't write it down. Probably would have been better to write it down, but I did come to my conclusion, so I felt like that was the most important thing. Um, I Yeah, so I've just been feeling a little bit better about the direction of things. I feel like in our last session, I was feeling pretty overwhelmed, with just a lot, everything that was kind of on my plate.
Hmm.
And it was making me, yeah, just kind of in a frantic mode of like, what am I doing? So once I kind of just like gave myself some space to really just be. I started resting a little bit more. Um, because I realized I'd just been like going and kind of burning myself out.
Hmm.
So, once I did that, my mind just kind of cleared and I was like, I was going back and forth, like, should I just become a ceramics teacher? And very quickly it was like, you will get bored out of your mind if you do that. So no, like you can do that in your free time. Yeah, but no, don't do that. Don't drop out of school to do that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I've just been feeling much more at ease about my decision of like being in Colorado, um, continuing with school. My financial piece was a big part, and I got that figured out. Um, and yeah, so that really helped me feel just like better about my decision. And instead of just like jumping so far into the future, I was like, okay, just keep doing this one day at a time this summer, you know? So got everything worked out for the summer um and I want to do my practicum and everything too. So yeah, I'm feeling more at ease with everything. And like I'm making the right choice. So I think I was just burning myself out and it was getting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I can tell just watching you speak and, just remembering speaking with you last time, you just seem a little more, like you said, relaxed. You're smiling a little bit. Your speech is a little more slowed and you sound just a little bit more sure about this decision that you made. So when you said you come to the conclusion, it sounds like you're choosing to stay in school, stay in Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. You
Yeah.
mentioned,
And
yeah.
yeah,
No, you can go. It's fine.
no, I'm going home in the next week during our like week in between spring and summer
Mm.
semesters. And that'll be good. I'm excited to see my family and just get some rest time. Um, but I'm very excited to like get back into school. I was just, wow, rest is so necessary. And like the whole self-care thing that they pound into our heads. Yeah, really is important.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I keep hearing you say the words rest and burnout and peace and it sounds like you've kind of dug into that a little bit more since we last spoke. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's kind of I'm kind of figuring that out still. So over the past couple weeks, I would literally like sit in my bed and breathe and like close my eyes and like think about God and just like sometimes I would meditate like on some scripture.
Hmm.
Um, but a big piece was like just actually being still
Mm.
because I'm like constantly in communication with him, like praying, and just like kind of talking. And I was realizing I don't really slow down enough to even like hear him. And that time of just actually being still, um, is so important. So that's one way. I've been trying to just actually give myself like Thursday after work, like completely off from schoolwork or anything like that. Um, and then, so that's kind of where I started. And I was doing that kind of with Friday too. So I would give myself, because I wasn't really giving myself even a full day.
Yeah.
Um, so just kind of being more still. And then, um, over the past couple of days, I stayed at my work after, to actually hand build. So I'm making a mug, and I spent like between the past 2 days, like 4.5 hours building this thing, like doing detail work and stuff. And it was just like so fun to just do something creative, that I can just put all of my attention into. So, because yeah, I just haven't really also been having fun. So I was like, how can I have more fun? In that, yeah, it's always enjoyable. I like creating something with my hands, especially. So, yeah, between those two things, I feel like I'm resting, spending more intentional time with, God, and yeah, putting all of my focus on like what I'm actually doing. Because so much of the time, I'm kind of in my head.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to just ground myself more and actually being here
Yeah.
body. So, yeah, those are a couple of things I've been doing.
Reconnecting with yourself and reconnecting with God, being
Mm.
still, getting creative. How does that feel for you right now in contrast with kind of how you were feeling last time we spoke of just, I mean, you mentioned, I don't even know if God is speaking to me. How can I trust that that is God's voice or, how can I trust myself? And now seeing you today, you seem like you're in a really sure place. So what's the feeling there for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't really know. I'm more so, um, I feel more at peace, which is definitely more of like the presence of God. So I, that's still something I'm trying to figure out though, is like, um, I don't really know how to put this into words, but yeah, I do feel more at peace. I'm also very much connecting all this to where I am in my cycle. So I I've known this for a while. Um, a while as in I've been kind of figuring it out more over the past year.
Mhm.
That when I'm in like my luteal phase leading up to like when actually starting my period, I just like my PMS symptoms, like I don't get any physical pain. Like I haven't been getting cramps or back pain or anything. So it's almost been tricking me over the past couple of months that I'm not PMSing, but like my moods get really intensely like negative,
Mhm.
and um like the world's on fire.
Mhm.
And I'm not. Now I'm like already have my period. I'm in my follicular phase, which is just like I've always felt so much better. It's like I feel more like at peace, alive, energetic, like I can take on the world. I can tackle these things that feel like impossible when I'm in my other phase. So I'm trying to be extremely cognizant of that, of like where I am. Because when I'm in those moods, like that just feels like that is life. Like I'm in this space and it's never gonna end. The world is literally on fire. Like, what is the point of anything? Da 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 da. Da. And yeah, when I'm there, I'm like, I don't Am I ever going to come out of this? Probably not. I think this is just how I'm going to be forever. So I'm trying to be extremely aware of that.
Mhm.
So when it inevitably happens again, I can be like, Kaylee, remember, this is just a phase. You'll feel better in the next week or so. What can you do now to not feel like everything is on fire?
Mm.
Um, yeah. So I'm trying to tackle a little bit more right now of things I need to do. So then maybe I can be even more restful in those phases.
Mhm.
Such a work in progress, though, you know.
Always, always, I think. Yeah. Getting to know yourself and especially being a woman, I think,
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors involved. Yeah, hormones. Okay, so there's a physical piece for you that you've noticed that really impacts your perspective on just kind of the things that you're working through. How long have you noticed that has been a trend for you?
I don't know. I mean, I've been like this probably for many years. But as my over the past like year and stuff, as like my stress and like, I'd actually feeling like the world was on fire at certain points. I think it's gotten more intense. Um, my Tim like would be able to tell when I was in those places. So he'd be able to kind of warn me like or like, make me more aware because I just like won't even realize because I'm just like this is just how I don't know. It's like so it just sneaks up and then I suddenly feel terrible. I'm like, where I'm not even realizing. So I'm just trying to catch it a little more. But it's probably, I mean, I think I've been like this for years. I just think it's gotten worse maybe over the past year, probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm just hearing you say is, there's a number of you're getting to know yourself a lot better, just by being present, and there's some factors that contribute to that, like, your physical body, the cycle that you're going through. So there's a physiological component as well as um just kind of making space in your schedule to rest and focus on yourself. Being creative sounds helpful. Tell me a little bit more about when you're still versus when you're creative. Is there a difference in how that feels in your body at all, or are they do they elicit the same feeling for you?
No, it's definitely different. When I actually like am just completely still and I'm doing some like breathing, like either like box breathing or something like that, or like in through this, like I don't remember what that's called, but um, I will like really feel my nervous system slow down and I just feel like, I mean, so chill. Like kind of like the feeling that I when I was like a major drug user that it would like almost trying to re it's a state that I was trying to reach through like different drugs,
Mhm.
like maybe like weed or something like that. Um, but I'm like, oh, I now I can just kind of get there without being high, which is
Mhm.
relieving. But it's just like so calm.
Mhm.
Um, I actually on um before our like presentation on Wednesday, I practiced in my car. I had like a 30-minute drive from um to school and I was trying to just keep myself in a relaxed state. So I was doing this breathing while I was driving.
Mhm.
So like paying attention, like my eyes were obviously open. And I could feel myself still being in this space, but and I was like, I wonder how long I can stay here.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know if I can do it like if I'm with people. But I was able to do it while I was driving. And I just could feel my nervous system like super calm. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just like this feeling of like it just feels so, it almost feels heavy, but like in a good way.
Mhm.
Like I'm just so relaxed. Um, so yeah, it feels really good. And I'm like, why don't you try and spend more time here? But I'm also like, love the feeling of like drinking a lot of coffee and caffeine. So I'm like, that's where stuff with my, just I have a personality of extremes. So
Mhm.
figuring that out. But uh, yeah, it's different than when I'm like creating something. That's more of, it's not necessarily as much a feeling of like peace, but it's a feeling of, I don't really know what maybe it's just like joyful. I don't really know. It's like today I was just like doing carvings in my mug and focusing on that much detail, like you just kind of like lose yourself in it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's definitely a feeling of being present, which is just so present. Like I could just like I literally can do that for hours and like lose myself in it,
Yeah.
and that feels good.
Yeah, kind of like a flow state.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I'm hearing maybe there's an element of curiosity there as well for you, just in terms of like, I wonder, can I do this around people? And how long can I tap into this for? And, how can I tap into it? And I think that is something to think about as well, just in terms of like the brain is a really remarkable thing, all of our brains. And as you're kind of exploring new ways to, especially as someone who's sober and stepping into, the early years of your sobriety, I think that it's just interesting. At any rate, it's neither here nor there. It's just sort of this perspective of an observer, kind of like an outside observer of yourself a little bit.
Yeah, totally. I was actually thinking earlier today when I was at the studio, I was like, oh, like this is such a great way to spend a Saturday. I went to a meeting this morning and then I volunteered for like an hour and a half at the egg scramble with my church at
Mhm.
Central Park. So it was like, and then after that, it's like, oh, it's so nice out. And then I just, yeah, went carved into my mug and then went to the park for a little bit. I was like, ah, wow, this is like such a nice way to spend a Saturday. And I like was very intentional about it because most of my like later teenage years and pretty much all of my 20s were just like so much just like drinking
Mhm.
and like that's what I would probably do on a Saturday is just like get fucked up. I mean, yeah, like guaranteed. So it's and I used to think like um the people, this is such an addict way of thinking, like the people that I'm around are like the problem, not me. So even just like moving geographic locations, I didn't, escape myself. So I was still doing that until, you know, getting sober and then like moving to Colorado and then actually now really focusing on my recovery.
Mhm.
I'm like so intentional with how I spend my time because I feel like I am very much in choice of what I'm doing. Before it's like I just kept giving my power away to like, oh, this is what my boyfriend wants to do, or this is what my brother and his friends want to do, and just like never really choosing for myself. So today I was, yeah, reflecting on that, and I was just like, this is great to feel like I'm making these choices. They feel really good. And yeah, just getting more curious about what that, yeah, means for me and my mental space and how I am moving forward. And, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I'm curious about what you just told me about, kind of wherever you go, there you are sort of thing. And you mentioned it wasn't until I made the choice to get sober and then move to Colorado when I really then started to focus on choices for myself and not sort of going on the whim of sort of what life throws at you or the people that come across your path, really making those decisions for yourself. I wonder how that idea or feeling has impacted, the recent decision that you just made about, staying or leaving Colorado. How does that apply there?
Yeah. When I'm in like a better mental state, I'm like, yeah, this has been um like exactly where I need to be.
Hmm.
And I mean, the through line is that I feel that way. Even in my like crazy states where I'm like, what am I doing? I still would come to a place of like, this is exactly like where you need to be. And so that would still, even in my, I like kind of frantic state, I would, I would feel very rooted in that truth. But then my mental like craziness, just wanting to like, I don't know, obsess over something and freak out over something, um, likes getting on myself about just like bad decision making. But I do very much feel like, no, this is where I'm meant to be, at least in this, moment in the next however long. Like, doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna be here forever, but in the now and in the, next few months, year, couple years, whatever. Um, yeah, this is definitely a place where um, gone through some really challenging things, and I've also really come to like I'm learning about myself and knowing myself um and really my relationship with Christ has just like this is where it's happened, and I have a community in that as well. And so yeah, when I like look at it through all of that, I'm like, this is where you need to be. And I feel really grateful for that too when I'm kind of take a step back, slow down, and really like reflect on it. I'm like, yeah, this is a good decision. You are where you're meant to be right for now. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It feels good to trust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such definitely a thing that I'm trying to kind of just rebuild.
Mhm.
But I am trusting. Yeah, I do have trust in that. Like, especially if I just look at the way that I've totally turned my life around in the past, like, I mean, less than a year. Um, yeah, it's been some pretty drastic and intense shifts, and I'm trying to um yeah, give myself grace through that and like remind myself um of how much I've changed in such like positive ways, and it's been um, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Just reflecting on what you've gone through, what you've accomplished, change in perspective, and recognizing that you may not always feel that way too. Just throughout the month or time, your feelings may fluctuate, but still having that. It sounds like although, and there's a Bible verse on this. Forgive me. I wish I could recite it verbatim, but it's, the winds may howl and, the earth may shake, or you're sort of in the sea, but you're hanging on to what you know ultimately to be true, that you can trust yourself, that you can trust in God, and this too shall pass, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's great. Well, I think that's we've reached the end of our time today, Kaylee. I've certainly enjoyed just following up with you and reflecting on that big decision that you had to make, and seeing that you've reached a place of peace and, that you just seem so much more at ease and you found some outlets for yourself creatively and in stillness and meditation with God and in prayer, that you maybe didn't know you could have, that you've tapped into a whole new level of peace for yourself and just being curious about where can you go from there and how is that going to look like, as part of maybe your self-care routine moving forward, and getting to know yourself physically as well and how that impacts things. I think you're very intentional, and very open-minded right now about just getting to know yourself a little bit better. So
Thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to be. So I appreciate that reflection. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next week.
All right. Bye.